Alright, so this is kind of just a general update for our garden in 2022. And this one here, I was going to do some peppers. This is in about mid-March. We found this company that has these Chinese 5-color peppers, so thought we'd give it a try. In hindsight, it was a little too early to start these. The first attempt didn't work out, so here I am trying the paper towel method, where you lightly dampen a paper towel, put in a few seeds, and then stick it in a Ziploc bag. This actually did work a little bit, but later on it actually worked better just to wait until the weather warmed up. We've had a very, very wet spring, and it has not been nice for seeds. Most of March was all rainy weather, just a couple of nice days, and then back to rain again. We even had near freezing temperatures in March, so it was not ideal. The room that these seeds are in it's basically a sunroom. I obviously don't have any heat mats or lights. It's just a couple of skylights and a big open window, and I hope for the best. I did find that when I had a heater in there that things did a little better, but yeah. So here I'm doing jalapenos and both Chinese 5-color peppers. In the egg cartons in front of my hands there are some onions that we started. Those did okay inside, but when I transplanted them outside, most of them died, so I replaced them with some starter bulbs, which seemed to be a lot better. I had a recipe for cowboy candy, and we absolutely loved it, so I was really keen on jalapenos. I also found these chocolate cherry and snow white cherry tomato seeds from a little market. No idea what they taste like, but sounds cool, so I thought I'd give them a try. I just use egg cartons because it's easy for me to deal with, and things generally do pretty well. In the back there you can see we have some chives that came back from last year. The circular dish in front, just off to the left of the screen there, with the orange lid underneath it, it had some herb mixture in it, but it didn't really take, so I'm going to replant that. So for tomatoes, I had a bit of bad luck last year, so I thought I would overseed this year to make up for what was lost. See, even there I even dropped a couple on the table. And unfortunately, or fortunately, most of them did really well. So I like to water with a spray bottle, it makes it a little easier just to mist the tops. You can see a close-up here on the onions. They looked really good. I was really shocked by how quickly they grew and how much they seemed to like it, but once I hardened them off a little bit and put them outside, they did not do very well at all. I'm now spritzing the herb blend I told you that had died, so that didn't work out too well. It started off good, that was the first thing to sprout, but I don't know, maybe it just didn't like it there. I wasn't really sure what was going to come out anyways. That big thing in the back there that I'm spritzing is all cucumbers. In this container is Roma tomatoes. There's a blend from 2 different types. And this is a mixture of a bunch of stuff. The egg cartons are 2 types of cherry tomatoes. And the circular dishes, there's Chinese peppers, watermelon, and cilantro. I find that things actually do a little bit better in plastic than the cardboard. I think maybe because it retains the water easier. But here we got some cilantro that's started to sprout, so that was pretty cool. And then some cherry tomatoes. There's indigo rose and honey sweet. I'm not sure which is which. I had it labeled. Got these jiffy pots to transplant the Roma tomatoes in. And later you will see that wasn't a great idea. Maybe because of the cardboard thing, I'm not sure, but the ones that transplanted into those containers didn't do very well. The reject ones that I left in the plastic salad container actually did really, really well, and now I have to separate them to put them in the garden. So this is my seed supply that I have there. I was just kind of leafing through and thinking about what to do next. Organize the next ones in that little container. We had a random sunny day, so I got really stoked. So I decided I'm going to transplant some of these seeds. So you can see there I have the Roma tomatoes, and I'm putting them in these jiffy pots with just some topsoil that I got. I very carefully picked the strongest looking ones and transplanted them into a jiffy pot and made it very, very moist and everything you're supposed to do. I had a lot of tomatoes, man. I still do. There's just so many. Next, I thought I would transplant some cucumbers. So I got them in these big pots. I actually had a really, really long video for this, but my phone died. I think that day I transplanted most of the tomatoes and cucumbers. I planted some sunflowers. Oh gosh, I planted some thyme. There was a whole bunch of things I did. I just loved being out in the sun. It had been way too long, so there I go. So those green pots there are some sort of cherry tomato, and then here's another type of cherry tomato. I just wrote down on that piece of paper, brown pot's this kind and green pot is that other kind. So they look pretty good. Pretty happy with that. And then the onions I also tried to transplant as well. I put some in the garden and some in some pots. Here's the thyme that started to grow. German thyme, that's doing really well. These pots don't have drainage, so I have to stay inside. I started some more peppers because I want more peppers, and one of them already sprouted after only a couple of days, so I was really excited about that. These brown jiffy pots are the Roma tomatoes. They're not looking so hot. These in the back are cilantro that I killed. It's doing better outside. These brown pots are a type of cherry tomato, which looks like they are the honey cherry, and the green ones on the side are the indigo rose. So honey cherry, indigo rose, and then we got the chocolate cherries. Those are doing really well. The ones in the plastic are doing a little bit better than the other ones. And then here's the snow white cherries. So I got a good little collection. I gave my brother some. This is a currant plant that Shane got from a market. These are some jalapenos that survived, so that was awesome. This is a Chinese pepper. Then these are the reject tomatoes. As you can tell, they are doing awesome. I'm a little bit worried about pulling them apart to plant because the roots are going to be all intertwined. Here is a sunflower. It's a dwarf sunflower, so that's why it's in a pot. I have a few more planted outside. Then our garden, we got some bush beans. I'm just pointing them out. I think there's 8 that popped up. Planted them at the end of May, and they only took a few days. These are black radishes that have taken a while. Some buttercrunch lettuce from last year. Some red leaf lettuce as well. And then way down there is some kale. We have this net because the deer eat everything. In the middle there is the onions, which you can barely see. This is rutabaga. I need to thin it out, but that was pretty good. And I planted some parsnip right here. Some of it I think has come up. I don't know. It's supposed to take a while. I also have some planted on the other side. Our rhododendron finally bloomed this year, which was really nice to see as well. We got to do some weeds around it. These are the cucumbers I transplanted. They're doing really well, and I think it's time for them to stay outside because now the weather's pretty nice. This is a watermelon plant. This one's doing okay. There's some chives and cilantro from last year. I recently put new cilantro seeds, so they're doing well. Blueberry plant, and a peony that was gifted to us that we thought we killed, but it came back. Then we've got some strawberries. These need a little bit of TLC. There's some more stuff. The other watermelon plant, oh, it's not doing good. I hope it comes back. This is one of our blueberries, which you can see is already starting to flower. It's the first day of June, and we have flowers, which is awesome. This is another variety of blueberry that's starting to flower as well. We got different types, so they would flower at different times. So yeah, that's basically it for our update for our garden 2022. And since it was raining so much, I made a white chocolate mango cheesecake. If you're interested, I have the recipe up on our blog on honeyfoxliving.com.